Lord, help the poor and needy in this land, in this land. Lord, help the poor and needy in this land, in this land. When we all rise together and face the rising sun.
The Greek word behind the poor here in Luke 4:18 is the word patokos, which means, without any kind of explanation, destitute, those without resources. To be destitute means, in its truest sense, a loss of choice.
Jesus does everything possible to make sure that the poor in our society have choices. And in our culture, it is entirely possible for middle-class folks, or wannabe middle-class folks, or wannabe upper-middle-class folks to do everything they can to be apart from the poor. So I think part of the good news is that Jesus sits with and is with the poor. And by breaking down those barriers, breaking down the economic barriers, the political barriers, the cultural barriers, the poor have the good news of options and choices.
Jesus said, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me to proclaim good news to the poor." He knew what he came to do and the good news that he came to proclaim. The church needs to reclaim its own proclamation as followers of Jesus Christ. We need to declare to the world that we too are about the good news to the poor.
Jesus says, good news to the poor. It's good because it's a radical departure from the norm. Jesus came declaring a message of equity and justice. Now that's radical. And that's news because we had never heard that before. And so as Baptists, we must take the same radical message to the world. I don't know how we can be followers of Jesus Christ, whose mandate was good news to the poor, and not also proclaim the same message.
When Jesus says that he has come for the poor, to bring good news to the poor, he has come for those who are destitute. Not for the poor in spirit, although the destitute are likely poor in spirit.
When we take that word poor and spiritualize it, somehow or another it exonerates us from our responsibility toward the dignity of all of humanity. We interpret it, nuance it toward the spiritual over against the economic because it's a comfortable place to be.
As you said, everybody, regardless of their status and their income and the size house they own or the car they drive, is equally valuable to him. And you know, we've said those words and we sung the songs, but we've never really understood how to practice that theology. And I think it's time for the church to step up and admit we've got some work to do there.
If we believe that the gospel is powerful and it changes lives, we have to admit to ourselves that we have been deficient in bringing the gospel to the poor because the kingdom hasn't reached that far. The fact that poverty exists the way that it does is it's a condemnation of our failure to bring the good news of Jesus to the poor in such a way that they have choice.
Rise together and face the rising sun. Lord, help the war-torn peoples in this land, in this land. Lord, help the poor and needy.